Is definitely a good explanation for why things are the way they are with this plumbing, because that is a big hole, and there is definitely a full clog of clay in that pipe. That is that's a pretty sizable hole there, and definitely enough to let in everything and make that pipe non-functional. Hopefully, replacing this will get us back in business with plumbing and with toilets. Toilets, they're a good thing.
So, 2 feet further down the trench, and I can see I was a very smart boy and continuing to dig further and explore, because there's the little hole that I found first. And just a little bit further down, there is a massive hole in the pipe. And who knows what more to come. I've got just a few more feet in this room before that concrete slab. And I don't know what's been done with the pipe under that. I don't know if it's in better condition. I certainly hope so. I don't know if it's been replaced. That would be even nicer. But this is definitely original, and it is definitely completely shot, rotted all the way through. You can just pick it off in flakes. It is incredibly thin now. The walls of that are just very fragile and falling apart. And it is filled with clay, as you can see. Clay and sand and whatever else was here. There are even some roots this far under the house, which I didn't anticipate. But in any case, it is gone. I am hoping that I can still get down there enough and replace this section and have the drains work. So, fingers crossed. Sarah always tells me I'm very optimistic, and you can see I kind of have to be. So at the end of my first day of trying this, here is where we are. So I've got a long trench. I've found 2 significant holes in the pipe. I have excavated a great deal of dirt, and I have gotten to a part of the pipe that sounds, at least when I tap on it and dig around it, sounds reassuringly actually hollow. So this bit up here is starting to sound like it might be sort of actually okay, and I'm hoping that that is the case. And I am hoping to get back to this tomorrow. Oh, that is a lot of work. And I only hope that this all works once I get things replaced. Another part about doing this, of course, is carefully removing all of the bricks that go back into place in the floor when I'm all done. And those are going to be a careful fitting job at the end of all this as well, since they do fit pretty snugly, and it'll make a nice floor in here again once we lay down some things. So the ditching continues, and now you can see past several places where the pipe had collapsed and has giant holes in it. There's 1, 2, and then way back there is 3, the first one I found.
Those are some gruesome holes.
They are some complete pipe collapses. But if you look past all those to the end of the pipe here, this doesn't look like that. This still looks black, like cast iron should. This sounds reassuringly hollow when I tap it with something. This has now been excavated all around and doesn't have any roots emerging from it or going into it or holes coming out of it or seepage or any problems. That looks like salvation.
I hope
the
so.
light at the end of the tunnel. I certainly hope so, because I was running out of room to excavate in. And otherwise, that's a lot of dirt to remove.
I'm looking at those holes, and I'm seeing some holes that, so there's a hole a little bigger than my fist, and then another hole that's like at least 3 feet long.
Yep.
Where just half the pipe is gone.
Yep.
And then another hole I could probably shove my foot through, and I don't have small feet.
Yep.
I wear a size 9 shoe. That's not a small foot, but I could get it in there.
And then there's this junction. And whatever is past that junction looks just fine, which is what I am banking on. So.
Oh la la.
Indeed. And that's the pile of dirt that fit inside before I had to give up and start taking it outside with this bucket.
It's dusty in here.
Yes, it is, because I've been excavating clay and sand and dirt with screwdrivers and trowels and this old shovel that came with the house.
And a bucket.
And a bucket. And all these bricks carefully removed, hopefully to be able to fit back in some way or another, and then be washed over with some sort of cement the way they had before. So, good progress. Let's hope that that is a good sign. It definitely seems like it to me. This is a piece of pipe. So, cast iron pipe. It's gotten pretty thin and pretty rusty, and I don't like it when my main sewer drain can do this. And it is well, that is not optimal in your sewer pipe.
That is the sewer pipe.
And that is the sewer pipe, yes. At least that was the sewer pipe. And so, the pipe, when you tap on really, really rotted out, nasty cast iron that's full of dirt, it sounds like this. Little crumbly bits, right? And when you tap on pipe that I hope is really solid and good, it sounds like that. I hope you can hear the difference.
The other one sounded like a flower pot.
Yes, the other one sounds rather like a sort of, a flower pot that doesn't sound very dingy. And hopefully, now the only challenge is going to be cutting that pipe cleanly, trying to clean it out using the garden hose to make sure it all drains properly, and then connect in a new section of pipe all the way from here down around that 90-degree and then down here. And so I'll probably have to do some cleanup of these areas because there's still a little bit too much dirt there. My exploratory stuff just to find these holes is going to have to be refined so that I can fit a new pipe in there. Luckily, the new pipe will be pretty much exactly the same size as the old pipe, so I don't have to make this hole any bigger. I just have to make it the right size. Very much a Goldilocks situation.
Goldilocks wants a bath.
Yes, a bath would be rather nice. A toilet would be nice too. And this is hopefully progress towards that goal. A hole!
There's a hole in my sewer, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in my sewer, dear Liza, a hole.
Actually, there's multiple holes in this sewer, see? Multiple holes, that was a pipe.
That was a pipe. That's not a pipe anymore.
Not a pipe anymore. Oh, but look, there it becomes a pipe again at the junction, very briefly. And then back here.
That's like 3 feet.
Yes, and then back here, the other little hole.
For those of you in the metric world, that's a meter.
Yep, that's a substantial hole. But it will be replaced.
Many holes.
Many holes.
In our sewer pipe, there are many holes.
Yes. Yes. That would explain why nothing's going down the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pipe, what was the pipe, is now full of dirt and clay and various other chunks of old pipe, and nothing is working. But now, I will make it go away. Once I get that cut, I can tear out the old pipe by any means necessary. This includes breaking it up with a hammer, and then digging it out with a shovel. Because after I get the pipe out, I no longer have to be careful. See, when I'm excavating looking for good parts of pipe, I don't want to hit it with a shovel or a hammer and make it break, because cast iron can be brittle. But once I have that cut, and I'm just dealing with the old pipe, the gloves come off.
I wouldn't recommend taking your gloves off, literally.
Okay, maybe the gloves stay on. Let me think of another better metaphor. No holds will be barred. Even below the belt will be acceptable. This will be a street fight of a pipe removal.
Last week I had food poisoning with a privy because our sewer
our sewer drain looks like this, so there's no toilets inside the house. So I had food poisoning. For a week, it was a long-lived state of food poisoning. Bad beef broth. And I had to run down 2 flights of stairs and go outside every single time I got sick. It wasn't fun.
So this is what the pipe looks like when it is fully uncovered. Or at least as uncovered as it's going to be before I start actually cutting it up and taking it out bit by bit. So you can see where I broke the top off there just to make sure I wasn't directly connected while I was banging on things. And then you can see it comes down, it does that 90-degree turn, which is where a bunch of stuff backed up because of these breaks further down. There's the first of the breaks. And past another junction, the entire top of the pipe is open and filled with junk all the way up to there, almost 3 feet long. Going a little further along, and then yet another break in the side of the pipe there, which I found roots going into. And further back, another junction of some sort, past which the pipe is good. And that is what I am banking on, being able to cut it right in there, connect to it, and replace all of the absolutely collapsed segments so that we have functional plumbing. That is the dream. Hopefully not an impossible one. And then we'll be able to use all the plumbing in the house. And once we test it and everything else, I am going to be able to fill this back in, but not until then. So hopefully this will all be successful, because it was a lot of work. Now this actually looks like it sort of belongs. Made it fit properly, and I've glued the pipes together to make that work with the special purple stuff. And now the glue is curing while things are generally in place. And then I will make the final connections with these rubber boots there and there. And
Show us that again.
so right here, where this connects to the bottom of the cleanout, we're going to use that one. And then down here at this end, we're going to connect that one, which I've wrapped with a little bit of metal tape just to try to provide a little bit more grip to the end of it. And we'll use another rubber boot to connect that together. And then I will try running things down this cleanout, and hopefully things will, well, water will flow through and not back up. And that is our goal. So yes, fingers crossed, lots of hope involved here, and I hope that we have gotten rid of the worst of the falling apart pipe sections. So yes, we can hope. So first time around I tried this with one of those types of clamps that you can see is just rubber with 2 hose clamps on it, and it leaked. And so I thought about all the possible things and picked a few other people's brains about possible ways to do it, and now I've taken it back apart. I cleaned off the cast iron to get as much rust off of it as possible. I cut a very slim piece of PVC to fit in the tiny gap between the two to make sure that there's no gap at all, hopefully. And then I covered everything with this waterproof silicone caulk, and which looks very, very transparent. And then I used this new clamp, which is basically, it's got the 2 hose clamps with the stainless steel shield, and then it's got these 2 massive band clamps with a bolt type instead of the worm gear, which is a much better clamping force. And you can see how much silicone I have goobered everywhere, and that's inside the clamp as well, and I really hope that this does the trick. It is as good as I can get that clamp for sure. So if this doesn't work, well, I'll have to get creative.